Dr. Harrison looked down at the cleaning lady with disgust as she knelt, scrubbing the hospital floor. "You people don't belong near medical equipment," he sneered, pushing past her with his coffee. The other doctors laughed as cleaning supplies scattered across the pristine white tiles. What they didn't know was that Maria Santos had just been disrespected by someone whose medical knowledge couldn't match what she carried in her weathered hands. 3 hours later, when Dr. Harrison collapsed from a massive heart attack in the same hallway, those laughing doctors would discover that sometimes the person you dismiss as just the help might be the only one qualified to save your life. I wonder where you're watching this story unfold from today. Whether you're in a bustling city hospital or a quiet suburban clinic, you've probably seen someone being underestimated before. Perhaps you've witnessed the quiet competence of support staff being overlooked by those in positions of authority. But rarely does the revelation come quite like this. Maria Santos had always been a woman who carried her secrets quietly. At 45, her graying hair was always pulled back under a faded hospital cap, and her brown eyes held a depth that spoke of experiences far beyond mopping floors and emptying trash cans. She lived in a modest apartment on the east side of Chicago, the kind of place where the rent was affordable and the neighbors minded their own business. Every morning at 4:30 a.m., Maria would arrive at City General Hospital long before the day shift doctors strutted through the doors with their expensive coffee and inflated egos. She would change into her blue cleaning uniform, gather her supplies, and begin the routine that had defined her life for the past 3 years. What the hospital staff didn't see was what happened in those quiet pre-dawn hours. In the supply closet on the 3rd floor, behind the industrial cleaning equipment and boxes of disinfectant, Maria kept a small collection of medical journals, current issues of the New England Journal of Medicine, Cardiology Today, and Emergency Medicine Practice. She would study them during her breaks, her fingers tracing complex diagrams, and her mind absorbing information that most residents struggled to understand. Maria had once been Dr. Maria Santos, a combat medic turned emergency physician with 15 years of experience, saving lives in the most challenging conditions imaginable. She had served 2 tours in Afghanistan, where she'd performed surgery in makeshift field hospitals while mortars exploded overhead. She had worked in inner-city emergency rooms where gunshot wounds and overdoses were nightly occurrences. But that life had ended 3 years ago with a single lawsuit, a malpractice case that had destroyed her career, drained her savings, and left her reputation in ruins. The patient had died despite her best efforts, and the family's lawyers had painted her as reckless and incompetent. The medical board had suspended her license pending investigation, and by the time she was cleared of wrongdoing, the damage was done. No hospital would hire her. No practice would take her on. Dr. Maria Santos had effectively ceased to exist, so she became Maria Santos, cleaning lady. It was honest work, she told herself. It kept her close to the medical world she still loved, even if she could only observe it from the sidelines. And it gave her anonymity, which she desperately needed after the media attention surrounding her case. Working at City General meant enduring a daily gauntlet of casual cruelty from the very people she had once called colleagues. Dr. Harrison was the worst of them, a cardiologist whose arrogance was matched only by his incompetence. He seemed to take particular pleasure in humiliating support staff, as if their subservience somehow validated his superiority. "Watch where you're mopping," he would bark, deliberately walking through areas she'd just cleaned. "Some of us have important work to do." His residents and interns would laugh appreciatively, eager to curry favor with their attending physician. Dr. Patricia Webb, the head of emergency medicine, was more subtle but equally dismissive. She would discuss patient cases in front of Maria as if she were furniture, never considering that the woman emptying the trash might have insights that could save lives. More than once, Maria had bitten her tongue when she heard incorrect diagnoses or inappropriate treatment plans being discussed. The nurses were kinder, but still maintained a professional distance. They saw her as part of the hospital's invisible infrastructure, necessary but unremarkable. Sarah Chen, a young ER nurse, occasionally offered a polite nod, but even she never engaged in conversation beyond basic pleasantries.